Now in this video we will see how we can define database connections in Flask, how we can set up SQLAlchemy, which is an ORM library in Flask, and how we can perform queries or ORM based queries in Flask. In this video we will see a basic CRUD operation happening and how we can perform that operation in an endpoint and then return the data in the response. So if we see, last time we defined this any.py, which is an entry point of our application. All the tools or libraries get installed in this file. So now to begin with SQLAlchemy, we have to install a couple of packages. So first package will be Flask SQLAlchemy itself, and then we will install the Flask-Migrate. So I will just do flask pip install SQLAlchemy, which is an ORM package, and next I will install Flask-Migrate. So this package will help us to perform migrations. So just a brief about migrations before proceeding. So the migrations are when we are defining models in our program, and these models are nothing but the definitions of the tables that are residing in the database. Now there can be a case where there is no table in the database and we have defined its model, which is its structure or definition. Now in our application there will be a case where these models will not exist in the database, but we have given a definition of it, and if we want these models or tables to be created in the database at the time of our application start, so we can create migration files. Now these migration files go ahead and they create they perform certain queries on the database, which upon initialization, or you can keep it, or you can give it any other trigger, create these tables in the database. Okay, well, we will see how we can perform migrations. So install these two packages. Now I will import SQLAlchemy. So you can see again I'm getting a type. I will instantiate a DB object here, and this object will nothing be, it will be a Flask SQLAlchemy object, which will take a parameter, which is an app parameter. Okay, now this sets up our database object, and then I will set up my SQLite database. So for now, just for demonstration purposes, we will be using SQLAlchemy, the SQLite database. Later on, when we get the grasp of these concepts, we will move to more advanced databases like Postgres. So now, having defined our database URI, I will now import migrate object. That too we will do from Flask-Migrate, and I will import and migrate. And for this migrate, we simply give it an app object. It takes two parameters. First is the app object, which is this one, and second is the DB object. Okay. Now I will create one more folder. And I will name it as models. Now this will contain all of our model definitions. So I will go ahead and copy this init.py inside this, but this has to be empty obviously. And then I will create one more model inside of this, and I will name it as users. Okay, so the reason I have named it is as users is just to keep this file descriptive, because I will be creating user models in this. So I will go ahead and define a model here, but before that we have to import our DB object from our app module. So I will go ahead and import this. Now I will write class users. Now this is the way we define models in Flask. We say class, and then this model class will be inheriting some of the attributes and methods from the db.model. This model is again another class which is defined in the SQLAlchemy package. So it will be inheriting all the methods from that. You can so we will go in detail in the later videos about this, but for now you can just remember it as it is just being inherited, and some of the functionality which is defined in it is also being inherited. Now I will just remove this portion which was sent to me from the Copilot. I will just keep basic fields in this. Just remove the deleted at, keep the status, also keep the roles. Here I will keep it auto increment as true, so the ID will be incremented every time. And then I will keep nullable as false. So this is the model definition. You can see these fields are the class attributes, and they are basically the replica of the table that will be having in the database. So you can imagine this as just a table, but in a more programmatic way. Okay, so anytime when you have to perform any operation on the database, instead of performing select all or alter or update queries, you have to perform operations on this class. Okay, and this class will have certain methods which will allow you to perform those operations. So this is the use of ORM. ORM is nothing but, in the abbreviated form, it is called object relationship mapping. So this is an object and it is mapped with the database. The table that is defined in the database. Okay. Having defined our model, we have to make our application aware of this model because it's defined in a different file. So what I will go is I will go inside my ini.py again, and I have to import this model here. I will say app.models and simply import the users. Now there is one thing to notice here. I have imported it before the APIs. Now this is important because you will be using your model inside the APIs, and you want your interpreter to interpret this line before the routes, because if you keep it otherwise, there can be a case that you can get an error, because interpreter will first go inside your routes, and it might encounter the model that you are using, for example the user model, and it might have not seen its definition. So that can give the error. So it's first that your interpreter interprets the models, and then you can go to the routes which will be using your model. Now our setup is done, our SQLAlchemy configuration is done, migrate object is also done, and we have also defined our models. And now go ahead, let's initialize our migration folder. So I will just write Flask-DB in it. What it does is it creates a couple of folders. You can see it created one folder which is the instance, and second is the migration. Now this migration folder will hold all the files, migration files. Anytime when you're performing migrations, Flask will record these queries for the next time when you might be moving this application to somewhere else and deploying it. And that time also you have to perform this migration, so it will be able to make all the necessary changes or create queries in that environment. Okay. And now let's do Flask-DB migrate. You can see it has created a file. This file, if I go to this, you can see in this file there are two methods defined: upgrade and downgrade. In the upgrade, there are our definitions. So it's the create table. So it's Alembic's or Flask's own way of creating a table internally. So like we are not aware of it, but it's creating it. Now this file, after creating this file, we have to run one more command, which is Flask-DB upgrade, and this command will make the changes inside our database. So it will reflect this. You can see it's saying running upgrade. This file was like run. Now if you go inside our instance, we have a database here, SQLite database that we have created. So you won't be able to see this file. To open this, see the contents in this database file, what you can do is you can go ahead and install that extension called SQLite Viewer. Click on install, and after installing it, just navigate to this file, and now here you will be able to see that we have a table. And this table, we go here, we have a user table. You can see the fields here. These, they have all the columns that we have defined in our model, user model. Okay, so this is the way we define models in Flask. Now anytime if you want to execute any query or perform any operation, you can do it using this model. So now in our next video, we will see how we can perform a basic CRUD operation in Flask using these models. Thank you.